Hello there, Chris Pissy here of Wedding Industry Wisdom, going live, answering your wedding business questions and chatting about wedding business stuff in general with Jack Brister, who should be joining us very shortly. How are we all doing today? So we'll be giving a few minutes just to let people arrive, and then after that we shall crack on with chatting about stuff. So got a cup of tea, I'm ready to go. Just waiting for some people. It's all that we require now. So I'll set it up so Jack can join in. Jack is being added now with Luke watching, and Dean. Hello, hello. And I'm going to wave to all of you. I'm going to wave to Jack as well, just because I can. Gave me the option to, so I can do it in real life too. How about that? You've got the Cantonar thing going there with the upturned collar. That's not very
Oh, that's the style of the jacket, the jumper. That's supposed to be like that. That's not.
I was just going to say the Cantonar's not very befitting of you. So.
No, it'd look silly if this was down though.
Well, it looks silly anyway, but.
All right. that's just rude. That is.
And Owen Strickland is watching. How are you doing, Owen? So yeah, it's 7 o'clock. We got some people watching. Should we just crack straight on? Are you ready?
Yeah, yes, I am. Sorry, I was getting distracted by Leanne.
Oh, so unprofessional. It's just.
I know.
See what I'm dealing with on a daily basis here, people. It's horrendous. All right, so let's
do this.
Hello there, Chris Piercy here of Wedding Industry Wisdom, and welcome to this live with myself and Jack Brister. Say something helpful, Jack.
Been there, done that already. Hello.
Perfect. So, what's going on?
Not a lot. Well, I mean, there's been some.
Owen Strickland says,
"Oh,
Jack,
goody."
Jack borrowed his dad's top. It does look a bit big on you.
It's actually a bit small on me, if anything.
It looks like you need to grow into it. Is that why you're going to the gym?
Oh. Yes, that's basically it. Is to be able to wear this jacket, this jumper, whatever you want to call it.
Top banter already.
Oh dear, it's going to be a fun recording, isn't it? So, what's been going on this week? Well, I've annoyed everybody.
Yep. Well, not everybody.
Well, some people. You've done an interesting blog post,
which no one's read.
A really good, which people have read. There are people that have talked about it. So,
yeah.
And then various other things be going on as well. But I think we should start with talking about your blog post. If anyone has any questions, do let us know. We'll happily answer them as we go through. But I want to start with Chris's blog post because I think it's a really interesting topic that should be talked about a little bit more. So, Chris, what was your blog post all about?
So, yeah, it had a very kind of clickbaity title of saying that everything in your wedding business is your fault. But I'm not a very strong believer in using... If you're going to use a clickbaity type title, and because I blog myself quite a lot within my own wedding business, I always think you've got to then back that up with a very solid thing, because otherwise people just go, oh, that was a waste of time going onto that site. So it was a little bit of a clickbaity title, but I do think I followed that up with a very solid argument. So basically, everything that happens in your wedding business, you have got to take responsibility for. You've got to say it's your fault. And that means that when you have massive successes, when you land that really great gig that you really wanted to get, you take responsibility. You blame yourself. You know, and I know it's weird to use the word blame in that context, but you blame yourself with that success, because then equally when things go completely wrong, you can then equally blame yourself for that as well. And I think that you should always take responsibility for this. And this is what the blog post was all about, is take responsibility for everything, even when categorically any rational person would say that it's not your fault. Now, the example I use is from a few years back, where a couple booked me. That it was 20 months in advance or something like that. Got on with them great on the phone. It was all like perfect. Couldn't have been better. I was on the phone for like 22 minutes or something like that. They basically agreed straight away to book me. I wanted to get them up to the top package. I didn't want to go for that, but they were definite on my middle package. Within an hour, they'd done quote contract, paid a deposit. I was like, perfect, done. Then some 19 months later, I get in contact with them and say, or send them an email and say, when's your, just want to check the timings and things like that. No response. Another email a few days later, no response. Tried to phone the bride, tried to phone the groom, tried to phone their home number. None of the numbers are working. All of this disconnecting straight away. As a last resort, 8 days before the wedding, I and then phone the venue and then find out they split up about a year ago, and never ever thought to let me know. I mean, they paid a deposit, so I wasn't completely out of pocket, but I probably lost, well, I lost probably £1,090 I worked out to be in work that I turned down as a result of thinking I had this booking. Now, I could very easily have turned around and said, oh, I put two fingers up to the bride and say, how dare you? But number one, I don't know their context of their situation, you know. Number two, I'm only a magician. You know, no one died. It wasn't like by not having that money, the bills didn't get paid or anything like that. And number three, I realized the best possible thing was for me to actually say, you know what, this is actually my fault. Because I hadn't had any contact with them for 19 months between booking and the wedding, and I was like, why the hell have I let that happen? Why? What makes me think that that's an okay thing to do? So it's a relatively expensive lesson, but the lesson I took was to just keep in contact with people. Now, this doesn't have to be like emailing them every month, just saying, oh, how are things going, guys? It can just be, they can go into an automated drip feed campaign where you send them, like put them into a mailing list where they receive your blog posts. It can be following them on Instagram, or for instance, and then just liking and commenting on stuff, just as a little reminder that you exist. So that is the lesson that I took from it. But although any rational person would say, yes, that's definitely the couple's fault, I was the one that said, you know what, actually it's my fault that this happened. What's your thoughts on all of it, Jack?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on. And as Owen said, good evening, Luke, by the way. I see you've joined us. Owen says that he totally agrees with you, and the buck does stop with you. Everything is your fault. And even in this example where instinctively you want to go, well, it's not my fault because they didn't tell me. But ultimately, there's a reason why they didn't tell you, and that's probably because they forgot about you.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that you then realised you needed to work on, was making sure they didn't forget they booked you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
with
that
20,
yeah.
Go on.
I think that you're in a situation where you've got two choices. Either you decide that you're going to blame them, in which case you can go on your Facebook and you can do a ranty post on your social media or whatever about blah blah blah, this happened, in which case you'll get all these people saying, oh god, that's so unlucky, or that's so whatever, and you'll get all this kind of validation or whatever, which does nothing but kind of stroke your slightly bruised ego. Or the other option is to actually take it on the chin and learn the lesson from it, in which case you're actually learning something from the whole experience. And I always think that you always should be trying to learn. So the only way to learn from that situation was to say, this is my fault, what am I going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And guess what? It hasn't happened since. So, and one of the big things that, and this wasn't a reason behind it, but it was a kind of happenstance, I guess, is that since I wrote the book on blissful wedding planning, every couple now gets a copy of that book. So they get that posted or they get an audiobook. I prefer to post a physical copy because then there's a physical reminder in their home of me, on their bookshelf or by the side of their bed or wherever.
That's hard luck, isn't it?
I know, it's a horrible experience for everyone involved. But it means that they're definitely not going to forget about me should the worst happen. But that wasn't the reason behind the book, but it is a byproduct of it. So that's the blog post.
Okay, I want to use a different example then outside of what we do as magicians, because someone posted in the group, I can't remember, it was a couple of weeks ago now, maybe, saying that she was a venue decorator or hired out items, something like that, and a couple of her items had either gone missing or were broken or something like that at a wedding. So when she then turned up to have them to come and collect everything, not all of it was there, it wasn't all in one piece. What are the lessons that one would be able to take away from that example? Because obviously I kind of want to make it a little bit broader than just us as magicians.
I mean, I mean, I know the woman you're talking about personally. So, well, I think the thing is that I don't think she's done anything wrong in particular at
Mm.
all. And as far as I understand it, there is clauses within her contract which cover her, which says that if any of these items go missing, then they will be charged at the appropriate price. So, in terms of the lesson, I mean, the only thing I disagree with is she made a post on it about it on social media, which I wouldn't personally have done. You know, I think that, I mean, I'd probably try and take a step back and just say my work is so good that people want to steal it, but they're going to get charged for it, so they're almost buying it. And I think you just got to say, yeah, and I think part of it was the bride not acknowledging her on the day or something as well.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things where if you're walking down the street and you see someone you know and they don't see you, you know, yes, they could be ignoring you, they could be really angry at you, or they could have a million other things on their mind, or they could be really hungover, or they might be having the worst day of their life, or you never know what's going on in someone else's head. And so I don't think that in that particular example, I think she'd covered herself perfectly with her contract. You then decide whether you want to enforce that part of the contract or not. Because for me, I was covered with equity to get all that money back, but I decided not to pursue it because I thought well, I phoned up equity once. I couldn't. Was on hold for 5 minutes, didn't get through to anyone. I was like, I've got way too many other important things to be getting on with rather than chasing up some money.
For those of you who don't know what equity is the performers union. So that's just for those of you who aren't aware. So that's as magicians, that's who we use as our union to sort of protect us and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think that yeah, in terms of just in general, if you get cancelled by someone, say like the budget all of a sudden gets tight because of some sort of financial change, if you're the first thing that gets cut, then you've got to a certain extent, you can't control what people's priorities are, but also you're going to need to be making sure that you are making yourself as indispensable as you possibly can. I mean,
Yes.
nothing is indispensable at the wedding at all, apart from the person doing the ceremony. Everything else is dispensable, literally, because that's all
Yeah.
you need to actually get married. But so you can't control what their priorities are in terms of indispensability. Definitely not a word, but you
No,
can.
but I like it. I'm going with it. I think it should be a thing.
Yeah, it should be a thing. So yeah, and I think this is what we come back to time and time again on this podcast and on the Yes Do I Do podcast is connection. If you create a fantastic connection with your couples, then the chances are that they are going to find it very, very difficult to cut you. Then they're going to go, actually, let's drop this from. Let's not have these wedding favors that we're going to spend this much money on, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Today,
Perfect. Cool. I
have you got?
think that's absolutely it. It is all about making sure you're in that particular example that you're indispensable and that people remember who you are, and so they know that they've booked you and all those kind of things. So everything that happens in your business is your fault. All the good things are your fault, and all the bad things are as well. And the sooner you realise that, the sooner you are able to do something about it, I think.
Yeah, and I think that I've kind of skimmed over quite a few points in it, but I think if you go and read the blog, which is on weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk, and then click on the blog thing, it's the most recent post, or you can find the link in the group. Then it's a 5 minute read, and I think it's a beneficial one. So we also have
Definitely.
that Tiffany paperclip post that comes around every few months, doesn't it?
I've not seen this. I mean, I
Have you
knew the
not?
paperclip. I knew the paperclip slash bookmark thing existed because obviously I did. But I haven't seen it doing the rounds as a look how much someone can spend on a paperclip.
Yeah, so the basic idea of this post is that people say next time, what it says, oh, two small business owners, next time people will ask why your prices are so high, point out that Tiffany sell a paperclip for $165.
Yeah.
And it's very strange that because almost exactly the same time I put that post up, Chris Tennant, who's a magician down in Devon, put a screenshot of an email he'd received from a client saying, "No thanks, we won't be going with any of your entertainers because I can get someone who does the same thing for £200." And basically, those two things are exactly the same thing. That I mean, that you've got something. Both of them are going to do a thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the same value and the same cost. I mean, it's different, but it's the same. I mean, what makes Tiffany able to charge what I basically worked out to be 500 times more for a paperclip than it should be, in your opinion?
Well, there's many different reasons. One being their brand is a well-established brand that specializes in high-end jewelry, so that there is a price tag associated with buying anything from Tiffany. If you buy, you can buy a Tiffany engagement ring for 7 grand, but you can get what is a very similar engagement ring for 800 quid, I imagine, from other jewelers, more local, or all those kind of things. So you're instantly going to be playing a price tag for going shopping at Tiffany's, because that's just who they are and what you expect. And that's something that I think is important that we don't really talk about, is that price is part of your marketing strategy to a certain extent. Deciding on your price should be part of that marketing, so that it's not just dictated by your clients. You kind of, to a certain extent, need to go, I'm charging this much, and then sometimes you need to find the clients that will suit that budget, because it is part of the marketing strategy. If you're going high end, and it's because you've got X, Y, Z extras that you're able to offer, then obviously you need to be charging in that high end range, and you need to be the price comes into that to some extent or another, because obviously you could charge, if your expenses were £100, you can charge it at £200 and make £100 profit, or you can go out at £5,000 and make more money. You'll obviously work a lot less, but it is something that you need to consider, I think, when you are coming up with your pricing, or you're changing your pricing, is that is actually part of your marketing strategy, because it will help dictate who your ideal client is. Because sometimes you might be struggling a little bit with exactly who your ideal client is, and that can help cement it down a little bit more. So it's something that is definitely worth considering. I hadn't actually spoken to you about this, Chris. I don't know what your thoughts are on that before we carry on with the Tiffany idea.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. I think that when you put when you're putting together your business, and the thing is, I don't think many people, or enough people perhaps, actually view their wedding business enough as a business. They view it as, it's they are a cake maker. They're not a wedding business. Which I realize is like the same thing, but like it's the business side of it is 90% of running a wedding business, or running a business whole. It's the back end stuff. It's not the making the cakes. It's not doing the makeup. It's not doing the hair. It's not the doing the magic. That is the easy bit that you can do, no problem at all, or you should be able to do. It's the back end side of it which needs to be concentrated on it much, much, much more. And part of that is deciding on who you're targeting, and that can be defined by the price that you want to work at. So if you say, you know what, I'm not getting out of bed for less than £1,000, you're going to eliminate a big portion of the market. But there are also many, many, many people out there who are happy paying that much and much more than that.
Yeah.
And for all of those people out there who say, oh, you can't charge that much for this, have you ever asked for that much money? I mean, I never got paid more than a grand for a gig until I asked for more than a grand, because why would someone pay me more money? I mean, I've had one person ever negotiate me upwards, random story, but no one's ever going to go, no, I want to pay you more. This doesn't, apart from that one random occasion, it doesn't happen. So it's a case of playing around with your prices a bit as well, but also deciding that's what I charge. And I think that couples think that because you've got a single person business or whatever, that it means that they can push you around and say, well, actually, I want this, or I want this much off, or I'm not going to book you. And I think it's a really powerful thing just to not literally, but say up yours.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great thing just to be able to say, sorry, I don't, that's not my price. I mean, be flexible, but if someone's asking you for 100 quid off your £500 package, that's a 20% discount. That's straight out of your profit. Why,
Yeah.
what reason should you possibly do that? And there isn't one.
I think the only way that you're able to do that though is by having that solid foundation and knowing the back end of your business, so you know kind of where you are sitting, where you're standing, where you're pricing, and all those things, and you know that, especially with like key dates. So this is a thing for people who provide a service where they can only be in one place at one time. Obviously, you are only able to earn X amount of pounds a day because of the fact you can only be in one place at one time. So if someone comes to you if someone came to me today, inquired with me right here, right now, for August, Saturday in August next year, and I gave them the price and they tried to take 10% off, 20% off, 15% off, something like that. They tried to haggle me. I know that between now and then, which is essentially 12 months, 11 months, I'm going to fill that date. It's a Saturday in August. If it's clear at the moment, it won't be clear by the time we get to next August. So I
Yeah.
know I can definitely stand strong in my position and say, actually, this is my price. If you're not going to pay it, someone else will further down the line.
Do you ever
So
do you ever actually say that to people?
no, I've never actually said it in those terms to anybody because this doesn't really fit
I
me.
have.
Why have you? Did it go well?
I Yeah, it has done. It's this it's the sort of thing I've only ever used in a face-to-face conversation where people are like, "Oh, go on, can you go on? Just take 100 quid off." And I was like, "Look, this is the price. It's a Saturday next year. If you don't pay that, book me at full price, then someone else is going to. So it's just going to be taking money out of my pocket, which I can't, which I just have no need to do." And just being
Yeah,
quite friendly and open, and not in like an aggressive way, like someone else will book me, because that'll get you nowhere. But with the
yeah,
right
yeah,
rapport and the right, and the right to delivery, it's a line which I encourage because it shows you're not afraid to lose the booking. And I don't think anyone should ever be afraid to lose bookings. Because I remember when I first started out, I realize we go completely off on a tangent here from the Tiffany thing. When I first started out, every single inquiry, every single email that came in, I'd be like, oh my God, I've got to make sure that they book. If they don't book me, I've got to, no matter what, I must get this booking in. And it's really damaging because it means that you will be bending over backwards trying to do whatever, feeling like you've got no negotiating power whatsoever. But you do have negotiating power because, you know, unless you're providing a product, then more or less you are the only person who can do what you do. You're the only person who can make a cake like that. You're the only person that can do makeup exactly like that, or magic just like that, or caricatures just like that, or whatever it might be. So, and what's so important about making sure that you're selling you, not and the impact of it.
we've got a lovely comment from Mark Waddington there. I'm going to just quickly read it out. Turn it into a positive spin. Say to them that you can't match the price. However, if the date is still available a month before the date, you'll happily be in touch with them and potentially do it for that price.
Yeah, I've said
Which I
that to
think is
people before.
yeah. I mean, I've not considered doing that before, but it's a great point because when you are in an industry where you can only be in one place at one time, there is to a certain extent the idea that you'd rather be working than not. So I think that's a really great way to kind of combat that. Is you say, you know what? Sometimes I still have availability. I'll get in touch with you nearer the time. When you get to the point you're unlikely to fill that date, which, as Mark said, there is about a month before. which I think is a
Yeah.
great time to do that, then yeah, that's a great point, Mark. I hadn't considered doing that before, so
Yeah,
that's
it's a
good.
good thing to do because it's got like a double-edged sword because on one hand it like absolutely makes it perfectly clear to that potential client that you're not afraid to lose the booking and you think you're going to get booked for that date. So it that brings a sense of urgency and scarcity, which are kind of the two of the biggest driving factors behind sales. And the other thing is, if no one books, it means you have got a potential fallback to fill in a date that you would like to get filled, you know, admittedly for a bit less money than you'd like, but you know, if it's at a price that you're happy to go out for, then it's okay. I realize that in some industries that's not going to apply because you know have to have makeup trials or hair trials first or whatever, but you know, typically those things will get booked up earlier anyway. But yeah, it's a good line I have used before. I've not used it for a while, to be perfectly honest, but yeah, but I'd yeah, in that situation, I'd be trying to throw more value into them. But
Definitely, yeah. And I suppose there's another way you could look at it. You could do them a kind of, I'll guarantee you someone will be there. So in our case, a magician will be there who I work with very closely, or a photographer I work with closely will be there. Just can't guarantee it'll be me because I can't go out for that fee. But if I'm available, I will do it, or something like that. I suppose is another way you could spin it. So you still get the booking and you still confirm it, and then you just deal with it when a full price booking comes in. So
yeah,
that's another way, I suppose. I mean, I wouldn't personally go down that route because it starts to get a bit
nah,
complicated.
I think it's
But
overcomplicating things in general. But
it's there if you are running that style of business anyway. So going back to the original point that we started with, Chris,
some 10 minutes ago about a paperclip.
about a paperclip. Why do you think Tiffany can charge $165 or $1,500 for a paperclip?
1,500 quid. That's $1,500 for the golden one. Well, I think the main reason behind it is that, and I did ask this as a comment. I would be surprised if even 1% of their sales are to people who are buying it for themselves. Paul Newton's
Yeah,
watching. Hi there, Paul. How you doing? I think that you know 99.99% of people buying that are buying that as a gift for someone. Probably someone buying it for their female partner who already loves Tiffany's, and they've already got a Tiffany ring, and they've got a necklace, and they've got a bracelet, and they've got an anklet, and they've got a earring or whatever else, and then what else is there to get them? Oh, they read. Here's a special Tiffany's, and they are. If you bought them a bookmark, here's a bookmark I picked up in WH Smith's for 199 or whatever. They're not going to think very much of that. You give them a hundred, well, they don't not going to know how much it is, but it doesn't matter to them. What matters is they've got the feeling of grandeur of the fact that their bookmark is from Tiffany's. So I think that's why they can charge so much for it because it's going to be bought as a gift. A couple of
yeah,
comments come in. Do you look at?
yeah. So Paul Newton says surely it's asking the question. Surely it's less about what we charge and more about what value we give them. We kind of covered this a couple of minutes ago, just before you arrived, Paul, and it's a bit of both. To a certain extent, your price will dictate what value you need to provide, as much as the value you provide will dictate your price. So you kind of need to you need to kind of play around with it a little bit on both sides there, in our opinions anyway.
Yeah, and I think Mark's basically poo-pooed the idea that you said, and I completely agree with him. I don't think it works with our businesses,
Yeah.
but it might work with other people's business. Basically, if you're not reading the comments there, Mark's saying that it basically if you say that someone else you'll send someone else in your place for the lower fee, it means that you're then not selling you, and it removes the uniqueness of yourself, which is not
Yeah.
really what you want to be
I guess
doing.
I was thinking a little bit more in terms of perhaps photographers who sometimes who do a bit of mentoring and build up second photographers and that kind of thing. It kind of it can work a little bit better in that
Yeah.
particular industry, but still, I appreciate it. The point you're making there, Mark, is that you are still selling your uniqueness and your unique spin.
Yeah, and to
on
be
being there
honest,
in the day.
if you are dealing with someone who is trying to get that deal, the chances are they're not someone who's looking for someone high end. They're probably going to be potentially happy with some graduate who's just shooting their first wedding or something like that. They're not if they're bartering over 20% off fee. They're probably not looking for the highest end stuff. So they're not going to be going for that uniqueness anyway. So but there's a million variables to chuck in there. But
Of
yeah,
course, there are. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, if you are targeting the lower end of the market, then that's perhaps where you want to be. Anyways, you want to be saying, "I'll take any booking and send someone out to do it."
yeah,
So yeah, there are definitely variables in there depending on exactly who you're targeting and what you're doing.
yeah.
So yeah, I think you've kind of cleared up that Tiffany thing. Eventually, we got there with the idea of
And I think the bottom
the
line is they
paperclip.
charge that much because they can.
Yeah,
And so I think that there's the fact that they have, you wouldn't have a, you'd be unlikely to have a new company coming out tomorrow called Jeff's, who are going to sell you a $165 paperclip you've never heard of before. But I don't know how long Tiffany's have been around, but a while,
yes,
long enough that when you hear the name, you immediately associate it with money, just like you would with
yeah, yeah.
Rolls Royce or Ferrari or whatever. It has that same, immediately thinking this is going to cost some money.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and there is a certain case like there is no logic. I don't think I'm sort of making this up a bit, but I think there is absolutely zero logic behind the $165 price because it's just a paperclip bookmark thing. Like there's very little logic. Obviously, there will be a cost associated with creating it, but I don't imagine that that is related to how much they're selling it for.
I wonder if that's the lowest price thing on their site.
It won't be, I don't think. I can find out.
Have a quick Google go on Tiffany's and because they will want they I'm guessing there's not going to be too many things under $100. And
Probably
Sarah's
not.
here, heckler in chief.
Oh, heckler Sarah. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Sarah of last week's sourdough fame.
Yes, and I can confirm. Oh, there you go. Mark says they sell cheap playing cards, so they obviously have. I imagine they're
Tiffany's
still quite expensive for playing cards, though. I imagine.
Tiffany's
Um,
playing cards. She doesn't like being called Heckler Sarah.
do you like
Sour,
sourdough Sarah then?
sourdough Sarah. Well, if you don't like being called Heckler Sarah, don't heckle so much.
You can get a candlestick from there for £60. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic now. I'm just
Okay, what's
on.
the? Just order it by price and let us know what the cheapest thing is.
Well, you can get so the candles. You know, candle snuffers. They
Yeah.
have one of those for £260.
Jesus. You see,
Get a
this is the thing.
pizza cutter,
Like,
pizza cutter for 155. There you go. Yeah. So, like,
don't
there
go.
is. Oh,
Sarah's saying she's going. Don't go sourdough, Sarah. We love
oh
we
no!
love your
Don't go,
heckling.
Sarah.
We love
Yeah,
you
we love you
really.
really.
We encourage
Uh,
heckling.
Ice cream scoops, £305.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Like,
mean, I think a lot of people were missing the point on this and saying, "Oh, people are just stupid," or there's people with loads of money are just like stupid, and they're like missing the point entirely. What that's showing you is that there are people out there with money who are prepared to spend it on things. It's not that they're
yeah,
stupid. It's not that
and
they're
it's
happy spending that money. They want to spend that money. No, it's not that they don't know they can get a ice cream scoop somewhere else.
yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's relative, isn't it? So for some, like, whatever, if you say earn £30,000 a year, then obviously
What
£300 on an ice cream scoop.
1% of your salary going on an ice cream scoop?
Exactly, it's a ridiculous thing to do, isn't it? But if
Amazing.
you're earning £300,000 a year or £700,000 a year, something, relatively, £300 on an ice cream scoop isn't that bad. I mean, obviously, it's still a ridiculous amount of money to spend on an ice cream scoop, but it relatively isn't that bad. So it's priced for a market somewhere. And Sarah would like a necklace while I'm on Tiffany, so I will see what I can find for her as a
Is
thank you
this
for introducing me to little little sourdough.
a bit of flirting going on here?
Uh, no, I can't find it. They don't have any anymore. They've got rid of all their
They
necklaces.
don't have any necklaces on Tiffany's.
None at all.
Sold out.
I know, sold out completely.
Yeah, I've become acutely aware of how dark it's become in the room I'm in, and now I look like a ghostly lit figure from my laptop. I feel like I should.
Okay, do you want to go turn your light on very quickly? And
I'm on my mobile, so you can come with me on the journey. It's quite
well,
exciting.
this is very exciting.
It's not. It's really not. And there you go.
So, I would like to very quickly bring up my post I made this week
On the wedding awards.
on Wedding Awards. Exactly,
Hang on a
Wedding
second.
Awards. Okay, is that me? Is that you opening a can of worms?
It was me opening a can of worms.
So, it got some comments.
It's got the
Essentially, it was a
most
post.
comments we've ever had on a post on the group ever, I think.
That is true, yeah, and I take full credit for that. But I knew that when I was going into it as well, and I was posting it. Chris wasn't entirely sure I should post it in the first place, but I decided to do it because I thought it would create some interesting conversation. Essentially, the post was titled "Wedding Awards Are Pointless." Oh, excuse me. So I did go on and justify my theory behind that, and people had some opinions. And what I found really interesting was actually reading those comments because I was posting it as my opinion as it currently stood,
Has your opinion
and how I
changed?
thought about things. Sorry.
Has your opinion changed?
Well, I've now read through all the comments, and there were comments from people who agreed with me, there were people who disagreed with me, there were people who really disagreed with me, there were people who ran wedding awards who had their opinions on what I was saying as well. And my opinion on the whole hasn't changed. I still don't believe that the awards are worth doing, in my opinion. But
No,
I now see
can
the
I?
value. Yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
So when you say they're not worth doing, is there a in brackets for your business or in general?
For my business.
Okay.
For I can certainly see the value. I now understand the value of awards a lot better. And I think it's almost entirely about how you use the awards rather than the awards themselves.
Yeah.
There were people who were talking about getting great customer comments and great feedback from their clients because, of course, they have to be able to judge them somehow, and that's usually how they do it, is by collecting reviews. And my personal opinion on that is that if you think that's a reason to enter awards, then there's probably something wrong with your follow-up post-event.
Yeah.
Because I collect reviews at the end of my weddings that I do. So, and I feel like I get a pretty good response. Obviously, I don't know whether it would change if I entered an award, but I get quite nice, quite emotive feedback. So I don't feel like that's a reason for me to enter awards.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
ultimately, I think,
I've never entered awards, and I'm putting together a new brochure for my business, and part of that is going to be testimonials, and I'm not struggling at all to find reviews and testimonials
yeah,
which are straight from the heart. You made our day, highlight of the day, etc., etc. All the stuff that you'd want to be hearing. So I totally agree that the comments aren't by themselves. Like I said, if that's why you're entering awards, then your post wedding follow up needs to be scrutinized somewhat, probably.
yeah. So I think the most important thing is, as I said, is how you use those awards. So people were talking about how they managed to use that award to, guinea pig to get some exposure, to use PR as a way to generate more business. And I think that is the key to making awards work for you, is to make sure that you are going out and doing the work. I see a lot of people who will win an award on Facebook. They'll post it on Facebook and they'll make it their profile picture on their Facebook page, which we got in a bit of a discussion with someone about. We're not big fans of ourselves because we feel like there are better ways to use that space.
Yep.
And then they'll never mention it again, and that's it. Whereas there are people who are commenting on this post who are posting like 3 or 4, 5, 6 different articles that they had been posted in, and they'd managed to get publicity with after after winning an award. So I think that was the key thing I hadn't really thought about, is how you can use that award to your advantage post event.
Yeah.
I don't know what, because you obviously, Chris, were not a huge fan of awards either. You had slightly different reasoning to me, so I was wondering what you thought your thoughts were, because I know you read through most, if not all, the comments as
Yeah,
well.
I think I read through all of them. Yeah, and on the flip side, there's some people just win it and then they go, "Oh, I won," and that's it. And then on the other side of the bell curve is people who, it's all they ever go on about. Award winning, award winning, award winning, award winning, award winning. Is I won this award, and it being the thing that's propping up the business. I mean that really,
Yeah,
that really, really like it, unless you've won a BAFTA, which a mutual friend of ours has, that's
yeah,
quite an award to win, and it's magic related as well. In which case, yeah, you have that on your website. But if it's whatever other award, then mention it, use it a bit, but don't let it be the be all and end all of it. I mean, I think my biggest gripe with awards is that it's the winner is the best or most popular potentially person who enters. It's not like you know you have people winning and there's like there was two other people entering and they only just started and they've only just entered at the very last minute, and then you are then best in Somerset or best in Scotland or whatever at whatever, but then there could be 30 plus people who are way better than you who didn't bother, who didn't enter the awards, and then the argument would be, well, you have to enter if you want to win. But I just, for me personally, 9 years into my business, the awards are not going to change anything for me. Now, I think Jack will agree with me on this, so I'm going to say that I think in general we would never berate or criticize anyone for entering awards, nor should they feel bad about, like, are we saying that they should not feel proud about the fact that they won or they came in the second
yeah,
place or anything like that. It's nothing against that whatsoever, but I think that there are better ways to prove your value, prove your worth, and it's you've got to go into it thinking about what you're trying to get out of it,
yeah,
and then wonder if there's a better way of doing it. So, question back to you:
yeah.
why do people enter awards?
I don't mean to be evasive about the answer to this question, but it's essentially
But you're
what's
going to
going
be
into.
evasive.
I'm going to be evasive because I'm writing a blog post about this very thing at the moment. Um, the whole point of that article, that post I put on Facebook, was to find out what other people thought, what other people's opinions were, and then write a blog post about it. So I wanted to find out what people's opinions were, and I almost wanted it to be decisive and divisive, so that people gave me their real feedback, their real opinions, and their real thoughts on it, so that I could actually use it usefully, um, and make sure that you are doing it for the right reasons. I think the big thing is, and this is something Denise mentioned, she's just commented on here, saying that she's not a fan of awards where family and friends are able to vote for the people. Rather than, I feel like that's 100% popularity
That's
contest.
just dodgy.
That's not winning an award, in my opinion. That's winning a popularity contest. And the biggest problem, and this is the question I'm struggling to answer myself, and I'm trying to put it into words at the moment on the blog that I'm writing, is how do we educate brides and grooms about which awards are worth winning and which ones are a crock of poo?
Um, well, I think I don't have an answer to that,
No, I
but
wouldn't expect you to.
a mutual connection of ours, I'm not going to say who, just in case he doesn't want me saying who it is.
Yeah, yeah.
He said if you can't get a booking without an award, you're not going to get one with an award.
Yeah.
So I think that there is that. Sarah's our favourite Sarah says, but even when there's a panel, it's the best in their opinion. And what happens when there's a conflict of interest? I do wonder about the process and would love to be on a panel, to be honest. But I know the official process for recruiting staff, and then the reality of it once I was there. So I wonder if it's the same. What happens when the panel is made up of mentors of entrants who are mentees? It gets awkward. Hopefully, I read that correctly.
I think that's exactly how she wanted that to be read. I think you nailed it.
Please confirm I read that correctly. Denise says the panel, if I remember rightly, was made up of people from all walks of life, about a dozen reputable people in business and the wedding business.
And the wedding
Yeah,
business. I think that's probably the best way to be going about it because, as you know, as Sarah has said there is that conflict of interest potentially because people will be friendly even if they don't necessarily know each other really well. They will be friendly with each other, or they will have a dislike for someone. That like sometimes that happens. So then that can skew the results some way,
or a clique
and then
of some description.
yeah, exactly. Some sort of clique that doesn't quite work, and then it makes it a little bit weird and awkward. So I don't really know what the right way to go about it is. Um, yes, so exactly as Sarah said there. Let's say the magician that taught me how to do magic is on the is on the panel of the award that you're entering, and
Yeah, yeah.
I really want to say something about this, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'll get in trouble. Um,
Well, now you obviously have to say it.
there are awards where that has happened, and it has definitely happened in the past, and it will probably continue to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the my personal opinion on this is that you know if you want to enter awards, like wedding awards, that's absolutely fine, and I never say don't do it. However, what I would really suggest that you do is that if you're a magician, then the award that's really going to stand out is if you go and win the Magic Circle's Close Up Magician of the Year, or you enter
Yeah.
FISM, which is the Magic World Championships. You won't win, by the way, because you're not good enough. Because or if you're a photographer, you should be entering photography awards. If you're a makeup artist, you should be entering makeup awards. I would be, I mean, I'm sure there's examples where there just aren't awards for it, but I would be wanting to enter awards which are specific for that your part of the industry. So you can say, I won the third best magician in the UK, or whatever. I think like
Yeah.
third best magician in the UK is better than best non-musical entertainment in Dorset, which is
Yes.
or whatever or whatever it ends up being called. So
Yeah.
but I think that by the time you have got a fair depth into your business, awards are not going to make any difference to you whatsoever.
Yeah, so Sarah is completely agreeing with you, and that's why we love Sarah. I don't remember us ever saying anything otherwise, did we? We always said we loved Sarah.
Sourdough Sarah, so
Sourdough Sarah, she's our favourite. Shh, don't tell anyone else. I think something that there was something else that came up that I hadn't considered that I kind of want to touch on very briefly, and that is that there's more to awards than awards because awards inherently come with gala dinners, and these gala
and
dinners is something I
buffets
had, and buffets, and there I am
and
sold.
potentially cake.
Exactly. Um, so I think that there's an inherent value within that as well as in going to network with people and generating friendships and relationships that way as well. There's that part of it which I hadn't considered. I personally
But
am of the opinion, and I know that one of the people that commented has now taken it on board and slightly tweaked it slightly, but you can have that without having the awards attached to it. You can have a networking evening and a gala dinner. Obviously, that's great in theory, but in practice doesn't always work. But I think that's a great point I hadn't really thought about, is the idea of gala dinners being there. As Denise said, it's her only night out every year, so in which case you might as well go crazy and make sure you have a nice, you have a great time. So there's that as well, which I hadn't considered.
yeah, can we put the issue to bed yet until your blog post comes out?
Yeah, but I know a lot of comments came through while I was talking about that. I don't know if you kept up with them.
Yeah, I think there was just Sarah's just basically saying we're great and agrees. Waddington, Mark Waddington says that there's too many derivatives of best close-up magician. Yeah, I would say that there are a lot of best close-up magicians. So I mean that's why I specifically said, the Magic Circle close-up magician of the year. I mean that's if you were a magician wanting an award, then and that meant something to you, then join the Magic Circle and go and win their close-up, because that is going to be a competition which is going to be tough to win. So
yeah, and I think
and
that
people will have
particular
heard of the Magic
example,
Circle,
exactly.
and that's the thing, Whereas there's so many different wedding awards out there that you could probably name 20 different variations of them, and people go, oh, I think have I heard of that or something.
Yeah. But there's you'll easily find in each county you'll find 5 or 6 different that county's wedding awards.
Yeah.
Like you'll see 5 or 6 different Norfolk wedding awards, or you'll see 5 or 6 different West Yorkshire wedding awards, or you'll see five or
How
six
many must there be
Dorset
in
wedding
London?
awards. Yeah, exactly that.
Jeez.
So it kind of is in the same way Mark was saying about the so many derivatives of close-up magician. There's so many derivatives of wedding wedding awards in Dorset or wherever it is that you're based, that it almost negates the point entirely of doing it in the first place. So as I said, I am working on the blog post. That was the whole point of the post, and it will be coming out as soon as it's ready. But I want to make sure it's right for you guys, and it really encapsulates my thoughts and how my thoughts have changed over the last week or so, having put that post out and having read everyone's comments.
Wonderful. Yeah, and we've got some news as well, which you might have missed.
We do. We haven't talked about that. If anyone has any questions whilst we are talking about this news, then please do pop them in, and we will be happy to answer them as best we can. But we are going to quickly run through this little piece as well. Chris, do you want to start it for me?
Yes, so we have a new module available. It is called Connect, Converse, Convert Wedding Fair Success. So this is our latest module on how to have success at wedding fairs. It's, Jack took the lead on it, and it's a 83-minute downloadable or downloadable video. So it contains everything from which ones you should be going to, right up to how to get the result you want from people on the day, whether that's arranging a consultation, whether that's arranging a follow-up phone call, or whether that's taking a payment from them as a deposit for the booking that they've made with you. So that is, I'm sure Jack is eagerly ready to copy and paste a link into the comments below.
Absolutely, I am.
Yeah, he's completely up to speed, and I'm definitely not stalling for time here. I assumed that's why you said, Chris, can you take the lead on this?
That was exactly why I asked you to do that.
You were back on the Tiffany site, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I was still trying to find something.
Just refreshing to see if they had any necklaces back in stock for Sarah, right?
They don't. They still don't.
They still don't. That's
so there, I've now posted it in the comments. There, you'll see it in there. Just for it's a really long one, isn't it? For those
Why
of you
did
who
you make it so long? You made
Sorry.
that page as well.
It was my fault. I'm sorry.
Read that.
I'm a bad person.
No, I'm going to make you read that out so people, anyone listening back. Okay, I'll do it so that people can see how ridiculous the URL you created was. So it's www.weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk/product/connect converse convert your guide to wedding fair success.
Smashed it.
Nice and
I
easy
think
to
it
like
couldn't.
remember, so people will,
Yeah. Or you could just go to weddinghistorywisdom.co.uk, go to courses, and it's there. That's the other option. Just for those of you who have signed up as membership, this is the same the same thing that is in your membership. So please
you've
don't
had that
buy
for a
it.
week already, you lucky
You've yeah, and
lions, zebras, and giraffes.
people have been enjoying it.
Yeah, you get some
Safe to
great
say,
feedback
people
on
have
it.
been, yeah, people have really enjoyed it. So we can recommend it, obviously, because we made it as well. So we obviously like it. And we decided to put it out now so that people who are about to head into wedding fair season, which is I'm sure you're all aware is coming up. Some of you might have already started. It's a great chance to really start implementing this stuff straight away, rather than just going, oh, well, I haven't got a wedding fair for another 3 months, so I've got nothing to do with it. You'll be able to implement it straight away and start using this stuff.
Oh, and just we haven't mentioned it yet. The course is £67, and you can buy it there on the website with PayPal, and then Jack will spend all of the money on rustlers.
That is exactly what I'm going to do with it. It's the best way to spend my money.
Such an in
Yeah,
joke
Russ.
between just us two that it just doesn't make any sense to
No
any
one
of
is
us.
going to understand why that's funny, but it is funny. You'll have to trust us on that. I've never eaten a Rustlers in my life, which probably won't surprise many of you. Uh, um,
I think I last had one when I was
bread,
about
yeah.
9.
I've never had a Rustlers. I mean, the problem with Rustlers, of course, is that they are not made out of sourdough bread.
Um, is it? Don't know, Jack's.
We're getting
I thought we'd
sorry, we're getting
paused
some
then, but
comments. No, I was talking to you. So yeah, it's not made out of sourdough bread, so I can't possibly buy it and eat it. I mean, Sarah would probably never talk to us again if I had a Rustlers that wasn't made of sourdough
maybe if you
bread.
replace the sourdough, the rustler's bun with a sourdough slice, you might. Lucy Waddles says, "Hey Chris, you guys are awesome. I've been loving listening to your podcast whilst editing recently. There's a lot of photographers who've messaged me saying that we are in their ears whilst they are doing their edits. So
That's concerning, isn't it? You don't want that. I mean, it would be so distracting. Our dulcet tones whilst you're editing.
it would just, wow, can only
I'd
imagine what
never
would
get anything
happen.
done. Lucky people.
I know that when I'm trying to write my copy, I can't listen to anything. If I'm writing something, so I just then start typing the Ashes commentary that I'm listening to. It's like
Yeah.
that
Yes.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And for your wedding, he's up to the wicket and he bowls and it's outside off stump. And it's like, oh, no, that doesn't help. That
That doesn't
doesn't help
make
at all.
sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I actually took a few little tidbits away from the um, wedding fair unit because obviously you took the lead on it. So I think I actually did take a couple of things away, which is well, every day's a school day, so I'm going to be changing my sales approach just a teeny bit, but
Yeah.
and also it does contain my golden nugget of information, which even I think
Oh
you,
yeah, I forgot about that. That is
yeah,
amazing. That's worth the price of it. The price of the admission on its own.
I'm not sure that's strictly true, but I'm going to say it is.
I
It's
think it. I mean, I think it is.
it probably is. Hashtag hype. Um, no, there's one tip I share within this, and I'm only look, I've told probably 4 other people this, including Jack. Um, so I'm not mentioning it on here because I do think it's that useful that I only want people who buy the course to have it. Um, Loads of comments coming in.
Yeah.
So Sarah and Lucy are exact opposites. Sarah says, I can't work unless there's something on in the background. And Lucy says, I'm the same. If I'm typing or emailing, I can't concentrate if I'm listening to, but editing is easy as it doesn't involve the same level of concentration.
And also, just so Sarah knows, Sarah asked the question about whether we'll be mentioning whether the incentive training goes on the wedding fair training. It doesn't. It is purely on the podcast. So if you do want to listen back to it, the easiest way to get hold of that is to go to the podcast, which is on Apple Podcasts. It's also on Spotify. If you just type in Wedding Industry Wisdom Podcast, it'll pop up, and you'll be able to go straight through, and you'll be able to listen to us whilst and then be able to take that information in again. But it works really well and conducively with the wedding fair courses you might expect because they all kind of tie in quite nicely together.
Wasn't there really there's notes for it as well? Wasn't there really handy?
There are notes for it as well, which are at freeweddingtraining.co.uk, I believe. I'm going to double check that now because I can't remember if that's right. This is the most exciting part of the podcast, as you might be. Yes, it is. Freeweddingtraining.co.uk will get you through to the training and notes. And you will be able to, it kind of just encompasses everything that we talked about in a nice, clear, succinct way. And now they're just talking about RuPaul Drag Race, I think, which I'll be honest, I've never watched an episode of, and I have no plans of ever watching an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
It is not something which is on my agenda either. I do not believe I am in the target demographic for it. So, can I go completely off topic just from something from a wedding on Saturday?
Okay, go on then.
Okay, so had a had a wedding on Saturday, and the bride and bride. I was doing a performance up in front of everyone. And then I was doing something around the theme of films, and I said, asked one of the brides, "Are you a film fan?" And she says, "Oh yes, I am." So what's your favourite genre of films? And she said, "Action films." I was like, "Oh, awesome! Like, have you got a favourite?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." I was like, "Oh, that's," and she kind of
Was it
panicked.
Die Hard?
And I said to her, she said, "Oh, I'm in a panic. I can't think of any." It's like. And I said, "Oh, like Die Hard." And she went, "Oh no, I don't like Die Hard." And
Classic action film.
not no.
Classic Christmas film as well.
Take a step back from classic action film, but the film that practically created the genre, is.
Yeah.
And then her answer ended up being the Fast and the Furious.
That's not like that's not a proper action film.
That's no accounting for taste, is there?
No, there isn't.
And Sarah, no, I haven't watched The Dark Crystal yet because I've been watching Money Heist.
I haven't watched Dark Crystal either because I've been working away from home. So
You've got a phone, haven't you? No, I plan to watch The Dark Crystal, but I feel like I need to watch the original again. And I've only got it on VHS, and I don't have a VHS player. So it's going to be an issue. And I think I threw the video away about 10 years ago.
no.
Denise, you've not seen
Money
Die
Heist.
Hard. What is wrong with you? It was
Nor has
released
Sarah.
31
Sarah
years
says
ago.
she hasn't seen Die Hard either, and I'm not happy about either of this. This is not allowed to happen.
Jack
It's a
is like
classic Christmas film.
Jack is not even like a man's man, and he's seen Die Hard. It's great. It's so quotable. You haven't seen Pulp
You haven't
Fiction,
seen
Sarah.
Pulp Fiction? Oh no, Sarah, this is not going to end well.
Sarah, what's happening? It's like falling in love, marrying someone, and then realizing they like their tea like white with so much milk in it. It's just like what's happened? Yes, I've seen Pretty
Yes,
Woman.
we've seen Pretty Woman.
Yes, I've seen
Sorry,
Ferris
Denise,
Bueller's
this is
Day
not
Off,
what
and
this
I've seen
is.
Fight Club.
Yes. Yeah. So I like that Sarah's got a list though. So that's good that she's working through these films. As you might be able to tell, Chris and I are both film fans. So you're kind of offending us at this point. We're not very happy.
This is really on wedding business topic, but
Yeah, I feel like we need to wrap this up because we're getting way off topic now. This is
we are
the
getting
people who are
very much
listening
off
to the
topic.
podcast. They are gone. They're not listening anymore. This is no interest unless you want our list of films you should watch. No. Okay.
Okay, name five films you should watch, and none of them allowed to be Disney.
Life of Brian.
Yeah.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, that's very good. Well, if you like Wes Anderson, you kind of have to expect weird,
Yeah.
obviously. What else would I put in there? The Dictator.
Mm-hmm. With Seth Rogen.
No.
Oh no, yeah, I know.
The Charlie Chaplin one.
Oh, the Charlie Chaplin one.
Yeah, we're
Not
going
the not.
way, but I'm talking like proper films you have to watch.
Okay, so
Um,
you're talking not the Sacha Baron Cohen one.
no, not that either. Oh, Chris, this is not.
No,
This is
that's what
going
I'm saying.
badly for
Not that
you as
one.
well now. Yeah, yeah. Nice save. Citizen Kane,
Yeah,
and one more. What else would I go for? Psycho.
yeah.
Like, I'm a proper classics movie fan, as you can probably tell by that list.
Okay. Um.
Go on then, Chris. You've got to do it as well now.
Okay. So the Big Lebowski.
Classic, yeah,
Goodfellas.
yeah.
Um. I'm gonna go random Van Damme film and say Hard Target, which no one will
Okay.
have seen, but
No, I have no idea what
it's
that film is, but
if you just Google it and just look at the front cover where he's got a permed mullet, then
I'm sold.
that's all you really need to know. And let's have something a bit further back. Rope,
Don't know that one.
Alfred Hitchcock. It's
Alfred Hitchcock.
Rope.
I don't know it. How do I not know that?
How do you not know that? I don't know. So it's about maybe an hour and 25 minutes long, and I
Right.
swear it's done in 3 shots.
Oh, okay.
And just a random one popped into my head based upon the fact that just what was the one? I can't remember the name of the film. My codeine brain setting in. Was it Birdman with Michael Keaton?
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, because that was done with seemingly no cuts practically. Or that there
Yeah.
were cuts, but yeah, but from a
Invisible
filmmaking.
cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I've got loads coming through. Like I should have said the David Lynch one, which is like Mulholland Drive or something like that. It's just like the Truman Show. Like there are so many that I'm going. I should have said that instead. But there you go. I've said what I've said now, and I can't go back on it. Unfortunately, I feel like we're done here now. I think we're now
Well,
just sort of
Sarah wants us
blabbering
to
on.
start a brand new podcast where we just chat. So,
Well, I'm on it. We're yeah, because two isn't hard enough for us to
hey,
do. We need a
hey,
third one.
Jack, I just had a great
Yes.
idea. Seeing as
Okay.
you vocally committed us to recording, you're such a dick. Seeing as you vocally committed
Yeah.
us last episode, to saying that we're going to start recording the new season of the Wedding Podcast,
Yeah.
do you think we should get Sarah on as a guest on the
We
podcast?
need to get Sarah on as a guest.
Sarah,
Yes,
would
that will
you
be
like to
our
be
inaugural. Yeah.
we have a podcast called Yes Do I Do about wedding planning. Sarah, would you like to be a guest on it? Send me or Jack a message and we'll make that happen.
We will
And
make that happen, and we'll give you our list of films as well that you have to watch.
and
Yes, right.
and and Inception
Inception. Yeah.
and
Yes.
basically everything Christopher Nolan's done.
Uh,
Sarah
yeah.
says I'll bring
Yeah.
the tone down, soz. No, I'm not.
You've
Well,
heard. I mean, you've seen this.
she's coming.
Woo!
Yeah.
We're doing it. Perfect. Cool. Well, we will be back at normal time next week. So we're back. I think. Are you here Monday? I think
I
I'm here
believe
Monday.
so. So it's only 5 days for you to wait.
Oh, how lucky you guys are.
Yeah.
Sarah's
So,
bringing ginger cake and sourdough. I'll have sourdough. I'm not so keen on the ginger cake. I'm actually just naming films. Cool. But we'll leave Sarah to just type random films at us whilst we sign off here. We'll be back on
join
Monday.
us next week where we're going to name films for an hour. Um,
What more could people ask for? It's the
yeah.
dream.
Yeah. So just to sign off in a slightly more professional way, should you want to help yourself grow your wedding business, and head across to weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk. There you will find our free course, How to Run a Successful Wedding Business, as well as all sorts of courses, PDF downloads and audits, which will help you get your wedding business in the right direction, as well as options for online coaching. And yeah, stop being rude, Jack. I'm trying to sign us off professionally, and you're making silly faces
I
at
know
me.
you are.
Yeah, and yeah, the Wedding Fair Success Course, Connect, Converse, Convert, is out as of today. So go and pick that up. It is £67. You can find that on weddinghistorywisdom.co.uk and head to the courses page. Um, Thank you, and we will
Yeah,
see you.
be back
And
on
Mark
Monday.
Gerard says, "Dead Poets Society, great film.
Good choice.
What
That's
a
a
way to
good way
finish."
to end.
We will see you again next Monday. Bye bye.
Bye.